In this lesson today, we're going to be looking at how to read and understand tempos and rhythms for the guitar. So let's dive right into it. Music is broken up into these boxes known as measures or bars. Each of these measures is broken up by these bar lines. What you need to understand first is this, and this is called the time signature, which is usually at the beginning of every piece of music. This can change throughout a piece of music, but generally in pop music it stays the same. The time signature you see here is called 4/4. You always say the top number and then the bottom number. The top number tells you how many beats can fit in each of these bars, and this can range between 2 and 12. The bottom number tells you what type of note to count, and this is usually either 4, 8 or 16. A 4 on the bottom refers to quarter notes or crotchets. An 8 on the bottom refers to either eighth notes or quavers, and a 16 on the bottom refers to either 16th notes or semiquavers. Why can't the UK and US use the same terminology? But anyway, let's move on. So bearing all that in mind, this means that a 4/4 time signature means that all the notes in one bar must add up to 4 quarter notes or 4 crotchets. They don't need to be 4 quarter notes or 4 crotchets. They could be any type of valued note, but it just needs to add up to that amount. Don't worry if that doesn't make sense yet. As you progress through this lesson, you'll understand what's going on. Now, before we look at note values and dividing up these bars, let's talk about tempo. Not to be confused with a time signature, the tempo is about the speed or the pulse of a piece of music. Put simply, the tempo tells you that the piece of music is either slow, medium or fast. In contemporary music, you'll see a metronome marking that will give you the BPM, which stands for beats per minute. This is usually above the first bar of music, but can change throughout the piece. Here you can see a quarter note or a crotchet is equal to 120. And what this means is there will be 120 quarter notes or crotchets within a minute. Generally speaking, 120 BPM is known as being fast, 76 to 120 is known as medium, and 60 to 76 BPM is known as being slow. For all the rhythmic examples in this video, I'll be using the C note on the first fret of the B string. Don't worry about the notes themselves, we're more looking at the rhythms. Instead of the notes, you could actually play chords instead if you wanted. It's completely up to you. It's more about understanding and reading rhythmic notation. Okay, so first of all, let's analyse this piece of music we have in front of us. We can see the time signature is 4/4. We can also see the tempo is 90 beats per minute, which has the crotchet or the quarter note equals 90. There's 2 bars or measures, and in each bar there is 4 lots of quarter notes. To help us keep time, I've downloaded the free metronome app, which I recommend you guys do. You can also find metronomes for free online. Just go on Google and search for metronome. So if I enter 90 BPM in this should give us the correct tempo. So there we go. If I press play on that, each of our quarter notes lasts for 1 of these clicks. So let's play these 2 bars and I'll show you what it would sound like. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple, hey? Now let's look at playing the same piece of music at a slower tempo and a faster tempo. So if we go down to 60 BPM on this, we'll play the same piece of music. As you can hear, it's a lot slower pace. That's the tempo, the speed. It's not affecting the notes in terms of the value of the crotchet or the quarter note, but it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you'll find is it's a lot harder to play super slow than it is to play faster. So let's go now to a high tempo. There we go, 120, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is how you play quarter notes or crotchets. It's always just bang on the beat. I recommend that you guys practice this using lots of different tempos. So start at 60 BPM and play that till you're really comfortable. Then move up to 65, 70, 75 and so on until you get so fast that you can't keep in time. It's a lot of fun, but it'll get you used to playing that crotchet rhythm. You can also have half notes or minims which look like this, and they are equal to 2 crotchets or 2 quarter notes. This means that in a bar of 4/4 we can only have 2 half notes. Once again, I'll give you some examples using a slow, medium and higher tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. I also want to mention with quarter notes and half notes, I'm always using a downstroke. So 2, 4, 2. Our next note is called a whole note or a semibreve, and this is equivalent to 4 crotchets or 4 quarter notes. You can only have one of these in a bar of 4/4. So this should be pretty easy. Let's do the same thing again, slow, medium and high tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So far we've had our quarter notes, our half notes and whole notes. Now where do we go from here? If we go back to our crotchet or quarter notes, we can half that. And if we half our quarter note, we get something called an eighth note or a quaver. So 2 eighth notes are equal to 1 quarter note, meaning that in a bar of 4/4, we'd need to have 8 eighth notes to fill the bar. As you can see here, we have 2 bars, and in each of the bars, we have 8 eighth notes. The way that I count this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's once again play this at a slow, medium and high tempo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This is when things get a bit more tricky. You're now at a higher tempo and you're trying to fit in a lot more notes and still trying to be bang on the money. So you want to have every single 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and bang on. Like with anything on guitar, make sure you start out very slow, nail it slow and gradually speed it up. Okay, now let's half the 8th note, and what you get is a 16th note or a semiquaver. 4 16th notes are equivalent to 1 quarter note or 1 crotchet, which means in a bar of 4/4 we need to have 16 16th notes to fill that bar. The way that you should count 16th notes is 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So you're filling that 1 and gap with an E and an A. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. You can imagine that when you get up to 120 BPM, this gets very fast. So in front of us here, you can see once again, we have 2 bars and they are filled with 16 lots of 16th notes. Now let's once again play this at a slow, medium and high tempo. With 16th notes, I would always use alternate picking unless you are James Hetfield of Metallica. You can do it all down picked, which would be very impressive. So everything will be down, up throughout this. So 1 E and 2 E and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Now this might be a bit trickier for me to say the 1 E anders. Let's try it. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and That was quite tricky, but like I said before, don't just jump to these faster speeds. Make sure you slowly build it up. You'll warm up as well and your hand will get a bit faster. Make sure you're very relaxed with your right hand when you're picking. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... Oh, that's fast. Okay, so that's your kind of main rhythmic values. You can also get more advanced, like 30-second notes, and you can get dotted notes and triplets, but we'll go through them later on once we reach them throughout the lessons. Okay, so let's now look at some other time signatures, because we're not always going to find ourselves looking at 4/4, unless you're in a pop band. Now let's analyse this piece of music in front of us. First of all, we'll notice that the time signature is actually 3/4, and what this means is a bar contains 3 lots of quarter notes or crotchets. So, as you can see there in these 2 bars, we do have 3 crotchets or quarter notes, counted quite simply 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it would sound like this at 90 BPM. 1, 2, 3. Next up, with your 8th notes, you can fit in 6 of these, and it sounds like this at 90 BPM. 1 and 2 and 3 and... With your 16th notes, you can only fit 12 of them in, and it sounds like this at 90 BPM. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a... When it comes to your half notes, of course you can't fit 2 of them in a bar of 3/4, as that would make 4. This is when you need to mix and match rhythms, so you could have 1 half note and 1 quarter note, and that would equal 3 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. And finally your whole note, which is completely useless in a bar of 3/4 because it's equal to 4 quarter notes. Right, let's move on to 5/4. All this means is you have 5 lots of quarter notes in a bar, and it would sound quite simply like this at 90 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also get other odd time signatures like 7/4, 8/4, 10/4, which you don't see very often, to be honest. Now, going back to our 4/4 time signature, you're not always going to be playing the same rhythms in one bar. You won't just always have 8th notes or always have 16th notes. You'll have a mixture. So looking at this piece of music in front of us, we've got 2 bars, we've got a mixture of different rhythms. Now let's play this at 60 BPM and see what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you should learn from this lesson is all the different note values. Make sure you practice them all with a metronome at different tempos. And then what I want you to do is get some notation paper out and write out some random bars of music in 4/4 that add up to 4/4 with different rhythms like this, and practice that at a very slow tempo. And remember, whole notes, half notes and quarter notes, I always use downstrokes. If you've got an 8th note, down, up. If you've got 16th notes, down, up, down, up, down, up. And that will really help you keep your timing. That's it for this lesson. Hopefully you understand what tempo is and how to read basic rhythms. It's now up to you to sit down with your metronome, Get used to all these different rhythms, practice from slow to medium to fast. Don't rush it, try and stay as tight as possible and have fun.